It's a beautiful day today, and we're reading about Karens. We read about entitled people yesterday, and today we're doing it again, and I'm so excited. I hope you guys are doing amazing, and I hope you're ready for this. And also, guys, if you do enjoy this episode, make sure you let me know down below. And with that being said, let's get straight into it. Enjoy, guys. I quit. Karen reported me to HR for it. I was the director of sales operations for a $40 million a year software company. Karen was on my team. We processed purchase orders. Karen had a small vehicle accident that put her in a neck brace. She also needed once weekly physical therapy appointments and had some restrictions on duties, all of which I accommodated, no issue. Despite meeting her needs, Karen decided that coming into work was optional. HR noticed that she was repeatedly absent from work for 3 to 4 days at a time, multiple weeks in a row. They didn't give me details, but they told me that documentation from her doctor did not justify all of these absences. To make matters worse, Karen would never even give notice that she was going to be out, and sometimes would just no-show without ever calling, nor even indicate how long she would be out. HR eventually told Karen that she needed to either attend work more regularly, or get a doctor to sign off on short-term disability. This worked for me. I'd rather Karen take extended time off, so I could get a temp to take her responsibilities, than be absent frequently without any warning. Karen's original doctor would not document a need for disability. She bragged to the team that she found a doctor that would sign off on anything. So Karen went on disability, and I was able to get a temp to cover her until she returned, even though co-workers who kept in contact told me that Karen was going to clubs and dancing and such. I didn't care. That was between her and HR. For now, at least, the work was getting done. The time period of Karen's short-term disability eventually expired. At this point, she either had to come back to work or go on long-term disability so I could replace her permanently. Karen's sign anything doctor would not give her documentation for long-term disability, so Karen grudgingly came back to work. She went back to being absent all the time. She also refused to do even the basic duties of her job. I went to HR and I told them things were not working out and I wanted to replace her. They were on board with this plan. HR brought Karen in for the talk, but Karen flipped out and said that she would sue. Suddenly, HR was not on board. It didn't matter that Karen really had no legal standing. Just the threat of a lawsuit made HR decide it was more important to make Karen happy than to let me have a functional operations department. In one instance, I asked Karen to do purchase order review and she complained to HR about me bossing her around. I am her boss. HR told me that I could no longer give assignments to work duties to Karen. What the hell? When I said that was fine as long as they let me hire someone else to do Karen's job, they refused to give me a requisition for a new employee. This went on for months and Karen learned pretty fast that she could complain to HR about anything and get her way. You would not even believe the accommodations that she was given. Meanwhile, she made no effort to hide that she was not really injured anymore, was barely coming to work, but was still getting paid. She even encouraged other team members to take advantage of this loophole that she found. Then one day during month-end crunch, Karen had not come in or called, so I called and asked her if she planned to work that day. It was a simple question, carefully crafted to be neutral in tone. She told HR that I'd harassed her with my phone call. I got written up, so I immediately put in my 2-week notice. I'm not going to deal with my career being messed up by a woman who had worked maybe 6 days in a month, especially when I gave 60 to 70 hours a week to the company. With me suddenly gone, the sales operation fell apart. Purchase orders were not going through. To address this emergency, a company senior VP took over sales until my replacement could be found. HR was certainly not going to tell this guy that he could not give Karen duties, so Karen actually had to work. About a month after I quit, Karen got my home number and called me, furious that she actually had to work. She told me that she was going to report me to HR for a company that I no longer work for, and sure enough, she did exactly that. I kept in touch with members of my old team and they told me that she was laughed out of the HR office, but here's where it gets absurd. Karen called me again, cursing and screaming and threatening me, and demanded that I give her the contact information for HR at my new company. She was going to report me to a department that had no idea who she was, nor had any jurisdiction over her complaints. The stupidity was unbelievable. And I giggled at her right up until I hung up and blocked her. The last I heard, Karen was finally fired, got 0 unemployment benefits and ended up moving her and her kids in with her mum. Oh my god, is this the worst HR in the world? What were they doing? That's so frustrating. Like, you're working so hard at this place and you're working with people like this and an HR department that's going to do stuff like this and listen to this Karen, and yet sounds like you're better off being out of there. And the audacity for them to be upset at you because now they have to do their job. Like, oh, now I actually have to go to work and do what I'm getting paid to do. How terrible. So so ridiculous. These stories are so fun to read, but I can't even imagine being in this situation. The next one is called No Karen, I didn't buy a seat for your bag. Story from about 8 years ago. I was taking the Amtrak out to see family for the holidays, so most seats aren't booked and thus were assigned on your ticket and such due to how full it was. Also, this was literally a midnight train, which is important to remember later. Anyway, being one of the last ones to board, I get over to my seat and I find this decrepit old woman and her purse taking up the 2 seats. I look up at the seat number, look down at my ticket to make sure I didn't get the numbers mixed up. Lo and behold, my seat was playing host to Karen's bag, so I politely asked her to move it, explaining that it was my seat. She called BS. I showed her my ticket. She told me to piss off and called an attendant. Naturally, when I showed the attendant my ticket, she was told to move her bag, glaring daggers at me as I smugly sat down. Now, for bonus petty revenge, I whip out my trusty laptop and I decide to play a few computer games. Now, the night trains did have quiet hours for obvious reasons, but I had my sound muted, and per the attendant that Karen tried to call on me, laptop usage isn't prohibited during quiet hours, provided that the user has the sound muted or has headphones in. I probably would have gone to sleep if Karen hadn't tried to block me from my seat that I paid for, but the extra hour of SimCity was totally worth it, just to stick it to that decrepit old hag clutching her stupid purse that I wasn't willing to donate my seat to. I hope she had a very unhappy holiday. Most of the entitled people stuff that we read about, they don't have to sit down next to the entitled person. Good on you for sitting next to them the entire time, playing Sims on your computer. You made the most of a bad situation. But yeah, what was their plan? Because if you said that it's your seat, the second that you show your ticket that says it is your seat, there's nothing they can do about it. And that's what happened. I don't understand what goes through their heads. Like, no, my bag is gonna sit here, not you. The next one is called Screamed At by Karen in the Cinema Because of My Wheelchair. I saw Till last night in a posh art house theatre with my girlfriend. The crowd were mostly well-to-do elderly white people. Dutifully, I turned off my phone as instructed. At the end of the film, Karen appears out of nowhere in my face, furious, pointing down at me and shouting that I've been playing with my lights the whole film. I turned on my electric wheelchair only twice to readjust my position. I pointed out that it was not my phone, assuming this was the misunderstanding, but no, she'd understood well enough. Before I knew it, the polite retirees around me sprung to my defense and put Karen squarely back in her place. So, to Cinema Karen, I'd just like to send out a big fat F you, and to all the probably normally non-confrontational kind of folks that stuck up for me, thank you. We need zero tolerance on these biatches. Edit, I'm so overwhelmed and encouraged by all your support. If this had happened to me after my spinal cord injury, I would really have lost my confidence to leave the house. Thank you. Oh, that's so awesome that everybody stuck up for you. Like, so they should, to be fair, but it's good that you were surrounded by good people. And yeah, get out of here, Cinema Karen. Damn right, we need zero tolerance on these biatches. I can't believe that's a sentence I just said. The next one is called I Lost a Friend Because I Called Her a Karen. So this friend and I are basically friends through our young daughters. She was telling me a story about how she was at a kid's baseball game outside and how the ice cream truck was being too loud. She was saying that she was going to call a noise ordinance on them next time, and I laughed and said, "Don't be a Karen, that's embarrassing." She then flipped out on me about how calling her a Karen is anti-feminist and racist against white women. I'm a white feminist woman. I disagreed wholeheartedly with that narrative and was therefore dumped. So they're pretty much telling you that they are a Karen and also being a Karen in the process. Like, they've obviously been called a Karen before and they don't like it. Like, no, you can't call me a Karen. It's anti-feminist and it's racist against white women. Sorry for saying that, okay? Relax a little bit. You don't want to be a Karen. The next one is called I Ruined Karen's Social Life with My Weird Horizontal Mumbo Game. So, my wife and I were having a dinner date a few months ago. Seated near us was a much younger couple. Like any younger, and we could have been their parents. I'm not a nosy person, but the wife and I have been together for almost 20 years. There are gaps in conversation when you've been together this long. They're obviously just getting to know each other. Must have been on like a Tinder date or something. On the ride home, my wife and I got to talking about not remembering what it was like to date each other. We decided next chance we got that we'd go on a Tinder date. We'd tell all the stories that we already know, what we do for work, favorite movies. We did it last weekend and it was fun, and I think we both picked up on some things that we had overlooked over the years. And then our kid got brought up by my wife and I rolled with it. Asked about the father and such. The game changed. She said that with all the stress at home and at work that she doesn't feel the spark. Things are too vanilla. She needs to try something new and adventurous. I start pouring myself into this fantasy, listing things I wish I could do with my wife, but she's always so tired and doesn't seem up for it. At this point, we're holding hands, leaning across the table, going over every special occasion act that we're going to go through with each other. Well, this is where my karma hits from listening to the kids on their Tinder date. A wild Karen appears. She starts jumping our asses for being cheaters. My wife told her that it was none of her business, and if some stranger would bang her like she's about to, she might not be such a biatch. Called my wife a dirty you-know-what. I told the woman I'm really hoping that she's the dirtiest one for me tonight. Well, she caused enough of a scene that the manager came out and made her and her friend leave. My wife and I kept on playing our game, finished our meal and went home. We had the house to ourselves. I thought this was the end of it, but no. Karen took a creep shot of us before she came to confront us. She then posted it to some cheaters busting Facebook group with our city's name and the restaurant, the day and the time. We have a mutual friend because a guy I work with saw it. They're all laughing at me for cheating on my wife with my wife. We got a pretty good laugh about it. I messaged the group mods. After one look at my profile, it's pretty obvious that I'm married to the woman in the photo. They took her post down and they put something up about false accusations can hurt as much as cheating. She went full Karen in that thread until they banned her. She spent a lot of time posting. She isn't one of my friends, but I heard that people were giving her a hard time on her personal profile about being nosy and not knowing all the facts. Same friend said that he saw her at a community event and got his wife to troll her. His wife went up to this Karen, arms locked with her teenage son, and begged her not to tell her husband that she's with a man young enough to be her son. I guess this woman is a bitter divorcee and is always judging people that she thinks are you-know-what. Now she's catching a lot of crap for making things up. I kind of feel bad for her. My wife and I never told anyone about the game we're playing. Everyone just thinks that this lady had some kind of nervous break seeing two happy married people. Wow, yeah, mind your own business. Why do people feel like they should do stuff like this? Like, oh, I don't know who you are and I don't know anything about you, but I'm gonna get upset about you, and I'm also gonna post a photo of you two together to a Facebook group. Like, this is what they get for not minding their own business. So frustrating. The next one is called I just bought a grill and Karen tried to buy it off me as I loaded it into my truck. This is the first time I've actually been able to post here, and I'm pretty excited and aggravated about it. Well, today I went to Walmart to buy a few odds and ends at last minute Christmas shopping. This is from 11 months ago, by the way. I've been in the market for a new grill, so anytime I find myself at Lowe's or Walmart, I try to scope out any good deals. Today I was able to find a deal. It was a $450 grill with a rollback price of $280. It's a nice pellet grill with smartphone temperature regulations and all the bells and whistles. There was only one left and it was a floor model. As soon as I saw it, I rolled it over onto the register and I cashed out. I proceeded to roll the pellet grill out to my truck. I've got a small 2022 Ford Maverick. Those unfamiliar with the truck, it's a very small unibody truck. I was not able to fit the entire grill in my truck, so I got a screwdriver to disassemble the table on the side so I could get it to fit. This is where Karen comes in. Karen approaches me as I'm disassembling the grill and says, "Wow, is that one of those new pellet grills?" I was unaware of her intentions and I stupidly said, "Yeah, it was the last one and I got it on a rollback deal." Karen, "Well, it looks like you aren't really able to fit that in your truck." Me, "Yeah, not when it's fully assembled. I just have to pop out a few screws and it'll slide in. You know, my husband could really use a new grill like that. And you said you got it on rollback, so you don't have to go through the hassle. I'll give you $200 cash for it. It'll save you the embarrassment of trying to return it because you can't fit it in your car." "Ma'am, I paid $280 for this grill. I'm definitely not interested in selling it to ya." Karen, "Yeah, but $200 is a good deal because you just damaged it. They probably wouldn't even buy it back from you." Me, "Well, no, it isn't damaged. I took this part off so I could fit it in my truck, but I'm not selling the grill to you. But I just watched you break it. $200 is a good deal." At this point, I closed my tailgate and I sat down in the seat of my truck. Karen proceeded to pull out $200 out of her wallet and went to the back of my truck, opened my tailgate and tried taking the bungee cords off. I got out of the truck, threw her money back at her, and I told her that if she touches my truck again, I'm calling the police. She made one last statement as she staggered to pick up her money. "You know, this is the holiday season. I can't believe you're treating me like this. God would be extremely disappointed in you. I hope you have a crappy, lonely Christmas." Karen then walked off and went into Walmart. F you, Karen. Edit, I noticed someone pointed out that they didn't know how I got her $200. I mistakenly left that part out. While I was getting in my truck, she threw it at me, which led to me getting back out of my truck and throwing it at her. You only just bought the thing and they're already trying to convince you to sell it? Imagine doing that. How embarrassing. Like, no, I don't know if you realize this, but we're outside a shop. I actually just bought this, which means I do want it, and I'm not going to sell it to you in the bloody car park. That's so funny, but so annoying. And yeah, you absolutely broke it. Them trying to convince you to sell it is hilarious. The next one is called Karen is pissed off because her name was printed in a newspaper without her permission. I work as a newspaper reporter for a small paper. I recently wrote an article mentioning the name of a new school board member. The article was not about her, did not quote her, and was in no way, shape or form defaming or dishonest. Her name was simply mentioned in passing among several other names. She called my desk and is livid. She tells me I have absolutely no right to publish her name without her express permission and threatens to sue if an apology isn't published. She also demands to speak to the managing editor. I happily oblige. Of course, she informed by the editor in short order that she's holding an elected position, and as such, her existence and position are already in the public forum. Oh, what? She's also informed that there's no legal obligation to notify people that their name will be published in a newspaper, and that's apparently when she really flew off the handle. She told my boss that every single person, no matter who they are, should be made aware if their name is going to be published, and that they should also have a chance to read the article before it goes to print. My boss laughed at her and then hung up. Get out of here, Karen. If you don't want people to know who you are, then don't run for an elected position. Yeah, what? That's so funny. I lost it when they said she's informed by the editor in short order that she's holding an elected position, and as such, her existence and position are already in the public forum, and they're getting upset about this. We need to read more stuff like this. The next one is called Sister-in-Law Dumps Her Bratty Kids on Others Every Vacation. My sister-in-law, known as Peg Bundy with money, is a stay-at-home mother who's raising my two nephews while sucking every penny and then some out of my very hard-working brother. My older nephew is mildly autistic and my younger nephew is ADHD with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 H's. She's taken the path of least resistance in being a parent. Kid whines, I want, and instead of no, just gives it to them. They're rude, they're entitled, and they're poorly behaved, especially when she's around, as she will screech at whoever corrects their behavior. You aren't their parent, we will handle it. Okay, fine. Fast forward to today, when for the 8th year in a row they've hijacked my week at the family cabin. She screeched at me again. Scenario: my elderly aunt and my mother and my partner and I are early risers. We have a quiet breakfast in the kitchen and the eldest nephew busts in, being loud and interrupting any attempt at conversation. General rude behavior unrelated to autism, though that is the excuse. I taught for many years and autistic children are not inherently rude. It is learned behavior. It was decided before the brat came down that the 4 adults were going to go into town to the post office and the flea market. As we're preparing to leave, Peg Bundy arises at the crack of 11, comes down and starts dictating that the eldest nephew should go with because he needs to get out and do something. I said no, there's only room for 4, but she can take him in later. Screeching, I'm not going in, you need to step up. You're his uncle, you need to learn how to deal with autistic children. He's almost an adult. More screeching. My reply was, well, then I won't go, as there's only room for 4. More screeching ensues along the same lines, ending with them saying to teenage Brad, well, you just stay away from Uncle Will for the rest of the week. My response is, okay. She has no idea the gift that she's just given me, just what I've been waiting for the last 16 years, though the brat is currently announcing loudly that I'm texting something. He's also an unrepentant tattletale as well as a sneak thief. Wow, the ironing is delicious.
Ha! The ironing is delicious. The word is irony.
Like the top comment says, you need to use her own words against her. Turn you aren't their parent, we'll handle it, into I'm not the parent, you will handle it. Yeah, the fact that they started yelling at you and telling you to step up, how rich is that? And yeah, I feel like that's a good place to leave today's episode. Time for something a lot more wholesome. Senior citizens guarded my cash for an hour. I withdrew $400 from a bank lobby foyer ATM, grabbed my card and receipt, and I forgot the cash. I drove to a restaurant and I ate. I pulled out my wallet to pay and I didn't even have any cash. Oh my god, I left it in the machine. I drove back right away and I rushed to the ATM. There were 5 or 6 senior citizens just kind of milling around. I stupidly walked up to the ATM, as if the cash would be there an hour later, and just stared at the empty dispenser knowing that there was no way I'd ever get it back. Then one of the seniors said, forget something. I looked up and said, have you seen my $400? They all started smiling and one said, see, I told you he would be back, and handed me my cash. They all seemed very happy that they spent an hour hanging out waiting for me to come back. It restored my faith in humanity. Oh, that's so awesome. What a bunch of legends. And yeah, they didn't need to do that, but they did. That's so beautiful. There are so many good people out there. Hello, today I'm 62 days old. Oh, and you're so cute. Oh, is there any significance to the 62 days? They rewrite this whiteboard every day. That'd be so cute. My plans for the next 6 months, just gonna go hibernate for a while. See you later, guys. Gonna go hibernate. It's such a good comic. They're like, you know what? I really hate this office job. I'm gonna go hibernate with some bears. Hell yeah. And once again, thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful time. And if you did and you want to see more episodes like this, make sure you like and subscribe. And the comment of the day today once again goes to Ouching Tiger Limping Dragon. I think the mice are starting to recognize your voice, Vincey. The cats don't give a crap what I listen to, but the mice are an eager audience. I just haven't told them about your cats. Oh, that's That's so awesome. Say good day to your mice for me. I'm so glad you and your mice are enjoying the episodes. I never thought I'd say that sentence, but I'm so happy I am. For real though, thank you for the support, guys. It means so much to me. Everything is going so well and I'm so grateful. Already excited for tomorrow's adventure. And with that being said, make sure you look after yourself and make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And you know what I'm about to say because I say it every single day. Bye!